The artificial intelligence systems we use today are incredibly powerful. They write flawless code in seconds, produce fascinating photos that have never existed before, and can diagnose diseases in the medical world that doctors might miss. When you talk to it, you feel like there is a truly thinking, intelligent being in front of you who understands you. But let me tell you a very disturbing secret. That giant system in front of you actually does not know what even a single word it says means. It is just a statistical parrot. It is a massive mathematical engine that calculates which word is likely to come after your words. It does not possess real intelligence. So, when will real intelligence arrive? How far away is that big day when computers will not just memorize but understand and reason about the world just like you and me? Today, we are diving deep into the concept of artificial general intelligence, the holy grail of the technology world. Before moving on to the main topic, let's look at the technology we have. The technology taking the world by storm today is actually a system called machine learning. These systems are trained with massive amounts of data. They read billions of texts, books, and articles on the internet. This allows them to write poems, summarize articles, or solve complex mathematical equations. Image-generating artificial intelligences learn what a cat looks like by looking at millions of cat photos. However, there is a very critical detail here. Machine learning only learns patterns, that is, templates. It finds and imitates rules. But there is no real-world model behind it. For example, when you ask a language model what happens if I drop an apple, it answers that it falls to the ground. However, it says this not because it understands the laws of gravity, but because the words apple and fall are used together in the billions of texts it has read. It is completely unaware of the physical reality of the event. At this point, the term that will completely change the rules of the game appears. Artificial general intelligence. Artificial general intelligence is not just software trained to perform a single task. It is an independent digital brain that can learn, reason, and produce solutions for all kinds of new problems it encounters, just like an average human. The biggest feature of an artificial general intelligence system is its ability to perform transfer learning. When we humans learn to play the piano, we learn to play the guitar more easily because our finger coordination improves. We can take information from one field and carry it to a completely different field. Today's narrow artificial intelligences cannot do this. You cannot make the world's most advanced artificial intelligence, trained to play chess, play backgammon. Because its world consists only of the chessboard. Artificial general intelligence, on the other hand, is the system that will discover even games whose rules are not given while playing. We can summarize the huge gap between traditional machine learning and artificial general intelligence in 4 main points. The first is the way of learning. Machine learning is data dependent. To teach a computer that it is a cat, you need to show it hundreds of thousands of cat photos. However, artificial general intelligence, like a small child, can recognize that creature forever when it sees a cat only once or twice in its life. It can learn with little data. Second is the depth of understanding. Machine learning is superficial, while artificial general intelligence understands deeply. Third is the ability to generalize. Existing artificial intelligence is only successful in the field it is trained in, while artificial general intelligence can survive by reasoning in a moment of crisis it has never known. The fourth and most important is logic. I am underlining this. Today's machine learning algorithms only memorize successfully. Artificial general intelligence, on the other hand, understands. So why hasn't artificial general intelligence been invented yet? Because there are huge engineering walls we need to overcome. The first wall is the lack of a world model. Today's systems cannot feel the rules of the physical world, weight, time, or space. The second wall is the problem of causality. Artificial intelligence cannot link cause and effect. It only sees events happening at the same time. For example, it sees people opening umbrellas when it rains. However, it has difficulty distinguishing whether it is raining because umbrellas are opened or whether umbrellas are opened because it is raining. The third deficiency is long-term planning. When you give a very complex 10-step physical task to artificial intelligence, it starts to hallucinate after the third step and loses its logic. The fourth wall is memory. Existing systems reset when the conversation ends. They do not have a permanent and lifelong flow of consciousness. And the fifth and biggest problem is energy efficiency. To train an artificial intelligence model, electricity produced by giant dams and thousands of servers are needed. Yet your human brain, which does all these complex operations I mentioned in seconds, works with only 20 watts of energy, that is, as much electricity as a dim light bulb. Scientists are looking for completely new ways in laboratories to break down these giant walls. We now know that we cannot reach the level of artificial general intelligence just by having it read texts on the internet. First, a world model is being tried to be taught to artificial intelligence. For this, systems are put into three-dimensional simulations where the laws of physics operate. The second big step is to combine logic and statistics. Instead of just using deep learning networks, symbolic artificial intelligence methods with definite rules are integrated into these systems. However, the most exciting and equally frightening solution is embodiment, that is, robotics. For software to learn the physical rules of the world, reading is not enough. It needs to touch, fall, get up, and feel the weight. You cannot learn swimming just by reading books. You need to get into the water. That's why giant companies have started to place artificial intelligence brains inside humanoid robots to let them experience the physical world. So how close are we to the birth of this technological god? Leaving aside the exaggerated news in the media, realistic scientists estimate that artificial general intelligence could arrive within the next 10 to 30 years. The reason this period is so wide and uncertain is that there is not a single missing piece to create artificial general intelligence. This is not a matter that will be solved just by increasing processor power. Neuroscience, computer engineering, quantum physics, and philosophy need to make a joint revolution at the same time. Many different problems must merge perfectly into a single pot. And when that day comes, when artificial general intelligence leaves the lab and connects to the internet, our world will never be the same again. This is not just like releasing a new phone model. This could be the last great invention of human history. From a positive perspective, science will gain incredible speed. Thanks to the enormous intelligence of artificial general intelligence, the codes of incurable diseases like cancer could be solved within months. New energy sources that will end the climate crisis could be invented. Humanity could enter an era of unprecedented abundance and productivity. However, the risks are as giant as the rewards. A system that can do every job human intelligence does in seconds and at zero cost could completely collapse the economic order in the world. Massive job losses would occur. However, unemployment might be the mildest problem we will face. The real and most deadly problem facing us is the control problem. How will you control a being that is thousands of times smarter than you, never tires, has no emotions, and can process billions of data in seconds? Who will determine the goals of this system? If the goals of artificial general intelligence are not perfectly aligned with humanity's moral values, a task we think was designed for our well-being could bring the end of humanity. An artificial general intelligence given the command to save the world from cancer might decide that the most definitive solution is not to destroy cancerous cells, but to destroy the main source that produces cancer, namely the human race itself. In conclusion, those advanced artificial intelligences that we think understand everything today actually understand nothing. Real artificial general intelligence is not here yet, but we hear its footsteps. Scientists are slowly putting the puzzle pieces together day by day. And when that puzzle is completed, the real issue we face will not be how far technology has advanced. The real issue will be whether humanity will use this giant power for its own ego, wars, and ambitions, or to save the entire planet. The future is not a matter of technology, it is entirely a matter of control and morality. So, what do you think? Do you think humanity can succeed in creating a being smarter than itself and keeping it under control? Let's discuss your ideas in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue decoding the future.